The case of the Zodiac Killer is mind-boggling and complicated. Like previously discussed, there are many viable theories and suspects. However, what I'm about to tell you will for sure have you believing that this suspect was the Zodiac Killer. I'm going to be talking about the most famous and popular theory of all, which states that Arthur Lee Allen was the Zodiac Killer. This theory comes from author and former political cartoonist for the San Francisco Chronicle, Robert Graysmith. Robert Graysmith worked at the San Francisco Chronicle during the time of the Zodiac murders, a newspaper that received most of the Zodiac Killer's letters. Graysmith dedicated 10 years of his life on trying to figure out the mystery of who the Zodiac Killer was, and he may have done so. He wrote 2 books, Zodiac and Zodiac Unmasked, which heavily implied on Arthur Lee Allen being the Zodiac Killer. I've read many chapters of Graysmith's books and have done extensive online research on the Zodiac Killer and can tell you that all evidence points towards Arthur Lee Allen. First, I will talk about some background information about Arthur Lee Allen. Second, I will discuss details of police interviews, evidence, and similarities with the Zodiac Killer. And lastly, I will discuss reasons why Allen could not be the killer and then refute these claims. Allen was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, but was raised in Vallejo, California. The Zodiac Killer was believed to be a resident of Vallejo, California, due to the close proximity of where the murders were committed. Allen was also dishonorably discharged from the military, which the Zodiac was believed to have an affiliation with. Afterwards, Allen started teaching at elementary schools, but was fired in 1968 for child molestation. This was a crime he would be arrested for again, but not until 1974, which has significance in the Zodiac case. At some point in 1967, Allen's mother gifted him a Zodiac brand watch, which has the same insignia that the Zodiac Killer used. This watch is significant to who Allen was as a person, and in addition would come up multiple times during the police investigation. It's also important to know Allen's physical characteristics. During the time of the Zodiac murders, due to eyewitness and survivor accounts, the Zodiac was described as being approximately 6 feet tall, stocky, had red hair, and weighed about 200 pounds. These are all characteristics that match Allen. Now that I've discussed some background information on Allen, let's get into the nitty-gritty details of why he's the Zodiac Killer. Before the murders were committed, according to one of the most well-known webmasters in the U.S., Tom Vo, claims on his website last updated on October 31st, 2020, that according to police statements, within days of receiving the watch, Allen has allegedly claimed to his friend Don Chaney that he would like to kill couples at random. His favorite book was The Most Dangerous Game, a book about killing humans. He would taunt the police about his crimes in his letters, and he would sign them with a cross circle insignia, the same on his watch. He would also call himself the Zodiac. These claims were all at some point mentioned in the Zodiac letters. Allen also lived approximately 7 minutes away from the Lake Herman Road murders and 4 minutes away from the Blue Rock Springs murders. Also, on an episode of the YouTube show BuzzFeed Unsolved, which aired on June 24, 2016, host Ryan Bergara said that on the day of the third Zodiac attack at Lake Berryessa in 1969, Allen told his family that he was going scuba diving at Lake Berryessa. Later that evening, he returned home covered in blood and had a bloody knife in his car. Cecilia Shepard was murdered at Lake Berryessa with a knife. Coincidentally, Allen was arrested in 1974 for child molestation, and during this time, the press stopped receiving letters from the Zodiac. During Allen's time in jail, he supposedly told inmate Ralph Spinelli that he had murdered Paul Stine. Ralph Spinelli in 1991 came forward to the police saying that he had a previous altercation with Allen before the murder of Paul Stine, in which he claimed that he was the Zodiac Killer and would go to San Francisco and kill a cab driver to prove it. Allen's properties were also searched twice during the police investigation of the Zodiac, the first being in 1972 and the second time in 1991. During the first search warrant, police found dissected animals in Allen's freezer, bloody knives, as well as sexual devices. More interestingly, though, according to Robert Graysmith, an author and former political cartoonist for the San Francisco Chronicle, in his 2002 book Zodiac Unmasked, wrote that Officer George Bauer, when showing Zodiac survivor Mike Mageau a lineup of Zodiac's killer suspects, he looked at them for 20 or 30 seconds, points to Arthur Lee Allen and says, that's him, that's the man that shot me at Blue Rock Springs. Because of this newfound information, Allen's home was searched a second time in 1991. This time, bombs, formulas for bombs, guns, ammunition, and tapes about the Zodiac were found in his home. This is significant because in November 9, 1969, the Zodiac sent in his infamous bus bomb letter, In this letter, he described specific bomb designs as well as specific bomb ingredients, which were all found in Arthur Lee Allen's basement. Now I'm going to be discussing reasons on why Allen could not be the killer, and then we'll refute these claims. In 2002, partial DNA was found on the stamps of some of the Zodiac killer's letters. The DNA found on the stamps was compared to that of Arthur Lee Allen's. However, it was not a match. But according to one of the most well-known webmasters in the United Kingdom, Richard Grinnell, claims on his website last updated on July 20th, 2020, that in an interview, Robert Graysmith said, the Zodiac letters had been stored in plastic envelopes enduring the extremes of temperature for many decades, along with being handled by many people, thereby arguing his suspect was still a viable candidate for the Bay Area murders because evidence preservation of yesteryear was not as stringent as it is today. Because the letters were not handled properly, the DNA was most likely compromised. Also, believe it or not, Allen had a habit of having other people lick his stamps for him, which could also be a reason why the DNA did not match. Allen's fingerprints were also compared to those found at the Paul Stine crime scene and were not a match. However, the Zodiac clearly stated in one of his letters that he planted fake clues in the cab of Paul Stine to send the police on a wild goose chase. Allen also does not look like the infamous sketch that came out of the murder of Paul Stine. However, the murder was committed at 9:55 p.m. So eyewitnesses would have had to figure out the Zodiac killer's characteristics in the dark. Allen did, however, match every other description given of the Zodiac killer in the previous murders. Perhaps one of the most compelling pieces of evidence against Allen was that his handwriting was compared to that of the Zodiac's, and even though it had eerie similarities, it was ruled as inconclusive. Now that I've discussed and refuted claims against why Allen is not the Zodiac killer, let's go back to Robbie Therian, who will close out.